Hello, good evening, friends. Very good evening. We'll get started. Okay, so let me share my screen. Veer sir, can you make me host? Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. We'll get started, guys. Okay, let's get started. So, we were talking about class and objects in last class, isn't it? Let me see what we did. Okay, this is what we did, isn't it? We did this student example. Let me copy this and we'll try to build on this itself today. Okay, so this is the example we did. We created class students yesterday and we said that we need to use init function. Okay, we need to use init function And the purpose of init function is that to assign values, values. Okay, it's the best place to assign values because init is called automatically. When you create an object, init is called. So logically speaking, also if you see, it makes sense to create values when object is created, right? When something is you newly buy, right? When something you newly buy, you want to give it a name, you want to assign a place, right? Similarly, object is something that you have newly created and you want to assign all the information related to it immediately, right? So that's the purpose. Logically speaking too, we do that, right? So here also we did that. Okay, so we created this class, and inside that we have added init function. This is where we are adding all our members of the variables, and we have initialized all the variables. Average and grade, which I'm going to use later, have also been initialized. Okay, you can initialize to 0 or -1 or something, and then you calculate average, you calculate grade, isn't it? And then and we created 2 objects. So when you create this init, all the values have to be passed, right? This is like a function, so you can use default values. For now I have used only the required positional arguments, right? I've used required positional argument. I have not added any default one, or I'm not trying to do this the variable length arguments, but you can very well do that. Okay, you can add variable length arguments, you can do all those things. Awesome. Okay, so we said that whenever we assign self, we are trying to create member for the object. Okay, so those values, those functions, those variables, okay, will be specific to the object. So if you have 10 different objects, you'll have 10 different copies of these as well, because these are specific to the object, isn't it? But now let's say I want to add something which is at class level. Okay, how do we know what is at class level? Okay, so let's say I want to keep track of how many students are created, okay, or how many objects have been created, right? Moment you create an object, it should give you the counter, right? 1 or 2, so on, right? So I'm going to add a class level variable. Okay, I'm going to say number of students. Okay, number of students. Number of students equal to 0. So I have initialized number of students equal to 0. I've created. Now see here, I have put it in the class and I have not put self. So if you put in the class, by default it is a class level, isn't it? I have not put self or anything like that. Okay. Now when are students created? Students are created when you create an object. So when you create an object, automatically the init function is called. This is what we have discussed so far. So when init is called, I want to increase this number of students count also. Okay, so I'm going to increase number of students count here. So I'm going to say, okay, number of students equal to number of students plus 1, right? When init is called, number of students equal to number of students plus 1, right? So we said that if you are doing same thing, okay, if you're adding number of students, number of student, we can directly do this plus 1. 1 indicate the moment Okay, the moment you create, okay, moment you create an object, it is called and it is increasing the value of, okay, the number of students variable by 1. Great. Now, if you do this, it needs to know, okay, it needs to know whether this is a class level or object level. So if it is object level, we say self dot. Okay, to create class level, we say here the class name dot. Okay, so you say students dot. Okay, error is gone. Now, okay, every time we create an object, this is called. Okay, let me create one more, okay, object, and I'm going to say S2 is, so I'm going to say S, okay, S4 and S3. Okay, S4 and S3, and let me give some different numbers. I'm going to say 119, 120, right? Okay. Let me add some values here. Okay. Now when I create these 4 objects are created, right? I can simply run it and see. Okay. Now since I'm calling for S1, I have to enter the marks for S1, isn't it? Okay, so grade is E. Fine. Okay. Now I want to know how many students are, how many students have been created. Okay, so I'm going to display all the main values. Okay, so I'm going to say here print, okay, print first thing is name, right? So I'm going to say name. In fact, we can do this print. We'll write a function here to print. Okay, or let's print it here directly. So I'm saying name equal to S1 dot name, right? Name equal to S1 dot name, and let's say email ID. Okay, we'll say email ID, and S1 dot email. Okay, now we will say print number of students. Okay, and I'm going to say S1 dot number of students, right? Okay, so I'm going to do this for all the 4 objects, and I'll change it. Okay, I'll say S2, 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 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, right? And let's print this again. Okay, let's run this and see. Enter marks, I give 1, 1. Now you see this carefully. Okay, name Sachin Tendulkar, S1 is Sachin email ID, and number of student is 4. Okay, number of student is 4. Of course, all the names are different, but number of students are same for all. Okay, so this is the difference between object level and class level. All the other values like name and email ID are object level. So it is specific to the object. S1 will give you S1 value only. Okay, S4 will give you S4 value only. But when we gave books dot, or we created an class level variable is same for all the object. Okay, so it has value 4, right? Value 4 is same, isn't it, for all, right? So this is the main difference between, okay, class level and object level. Every time you assign a value, you can assign it for a class. Okay, you can assign it to an object, but class will have value common for all the objects. When I say S1 dot class variable, it will give us the class information. Okay. Now we can also create a class level method. Okay. So when we created a class level variable, here we didn't have to say anything, but in the function we have to say class name dot, because it's an object level function. I have to use a class name. Had it been a class level, would have we have used something else. We'll use something else here. But since an object level function, so I'm saying it's a class level, so I've used class name dot. Okay, let's create a class level method and see how it is different. So, okay, this is inside the class def display. Oops, sorry. Display info, right? Okay, of course we got PyCharm is assuming that we want to create a object level. That's why it added self here. But we want to create a class level, right? Not object level. So you have to first indicate, okay? You have to first indicate that you want to use a class level method. To create a class level method, we need to use @class method. @class method. @class method is a command that you have to write before creating function to indicate it's a class level function. Any question, guys? Tell me. Okay, so to indicate that it's a class level, we have to use, okay, we have to use class method, @class method before defining the function. Okay, if you define only then it is treated as a class method or class level method or method which is common for all the members of the class, and it will print same value. Okay, it will not print different values when you call from a specific object, but object level values will change at object level, isn't it? Okay, so let's continue to build our method. I'm going to say display info. Okay, and then I'm saying, so see, now that I put class method, PyCharm is intelligent. Oh, you want to use class method. Okay, it has added CLS here. Right? Okay. How do we give a inside it? You know, it's we give as usual. So, okay, I want to print the class variable, right? That's the number of students, isn't it? So I'm going to say print current number of admitted, okay, number of students directly, admitted student or whatever you call it, of students are, okay. Now here we will say CLS dot or class name dot, which is students dot number of students. So instead of doing all this, I can even call that method. I can say students dot display info, or I can say, okay, the object dot display info also. Now when you run it, I have to go do this, right? Okay, so see, current number of students are 4. It's giving us the value here. Okay, so print and printing, it is not returning anything, right? So it is anyway printing here, so we don't have to say another print here. Yes. So this is how you can get, okay, the class level variable. Okay, so we have seen class level method, class level variable, object level method, and object level variable. Okay, of course, object level values are mostly used. Okay, but we do use few class level, and within like the variables and the methods are very less. Very rarely you will create a class level method. You want to create class method for generic operations or generic instructions, just like these. Okay, but if mostly it will be specific, which will be your object level. Okay, so this is how we create class level and object level. Okay, okay, now we'll talk about one important property of Python, which is called inheritance. Okay, what is inheritance in class? Okay, so let me take a sip of water and then I'll talk about it. Okay, I have to open Paint. Of course, my Paint will not be shared, so I have to stop share and I have to share again. And this time, let's share the Paint. Okay, great. Now, let's say we create a class here. Okay, so in our case, we have created student class. Okay, which is fine. Now, I create one more class, which is also normal, right? Which is also normal. Okay. Okay. But the challenge comes when not challenge, the beauty of it comes when we link these two classes together. 1 second, guys. Okay, so I was saying that we create two classes. Okay, you have class 1 and you have class 2. Okay, now I'm linking them. Okay, I'm linking them. Okay, why do we need to link? Okay, of course there's some benefits, that's why we want to link them. Okay, benefit says, okay, you can link one of them as parent class or super class or base class. Okay, so if I, okay, so you have C1, C2 independent classes, and now I'm saying this is base class. Okay, this is base class. How do we indicate base class? Okay, we in the base class we don't have to do anything. We don't link in the base class. We link in the child class. Okay, I give this bad example, but you know, when when we have to fill our form, right? We are always asked our father's name, not our children's name, isn't it? So it's if this is the children class or the derived class, you call them derived, or you call them child class. So here you have to say the parent of C2 is C1. You don't have to say anything in C1. Okay. The moment you link here, if you say C2 is parent of C1, automatically it means that C1 is parent, isn't it? So it's called parent class is called base class, and this is called derived class, right? Okay. So let's have the same class that we have created so far. We have the same class, and now I'm going to create one more class. So this is a student. Let me create a parent class, college, school. So to create a parent class, I'm simply going to say, sorry, okay, class school. I say class school, and then here you can define your init function, right? Def init, okay, print sample init function. I can go and define my own function. Let's say display info. Display school info, something like that. Info. Okay. So I've created, okay, and I'll add some text here. Okay, so class school has init, okay, and we are saying sample init function, which is the print statement within init, and you have display school info, you have parent class here, right? Perfect. Okay, I'm not doing any logic here, just to demonstrate how it works, right? So these are two different classes. There's no link between them. Okay, one is not, okay, it's not linked at all, right? So these are two different class, which is possible. You can write in same file, two different class. You can create an object of school, and you can use object of school just like it. Now I want to create the linkage between them, the relationship between them. I want to create a relationship between them. What kind of relationship I can create? I can say that school is the parent or the father class of second. So to indicate this school is parent or school is base class, I'll say school is base class. How do you declare this a base class? We simply come here in the student, and before colon, okay, before colon, we will say here in bracket, I'm going to say okay, here the parent school name, which is school. Automatically, student is now linked to, sorry, student, yes, correct. Student is now linked to school. Makes sense? Okay, so this is how the linkage is created. Then what's the advantage? Advantage is, okay, I'll show you. Let me first delete it, okay? Let's not create the linkage first. Now, if I go and say here, student, right? S1 dot. Student is the object, S1 is the object of student. S1 dot. You see, you get display info, which is class type CLS, display info, number of students, name, calculate average grade. Now, these are all the M4 method, right? The three method which we have created inside the student. So display info, calculation grade, and calculation average, these are all method which we created in the student class, right? Student, okay, display info, which is we created today, and calc grade and calc average is yesterday's method. Okay. Okay, great. Now, sorry guys, I totally forgot. I think I was working here. You guys did not tell me that you can't see the screen. Sorry. Yes, yes. Now you should be able to see the screen. Sorry. Okay. Let me repeat what I did. Sorry, totally. Because it's not allowing me to share the entire desktop, okay, while on the YouTube. Okay, so this is the extra class I've written here, guys. Okay, for last 5 minutes I was talking about this. This is the class I've written, class school. Okay, and in class school I have added this init method, which simply prints one command, one line of information. Then I have display school, which also prints one line of command, which is parent class. Okay, so init sample init function and display okay, is a method that we have created. Okay, so if you see here, this is one set of class and this is another set of class, right? This is one set of class and this is another set of class, totally different, isn't it? There's no link between them, and Python doesn't care. You can create an object of first class, school class, you can use it separately. You can create object of student class and you can use it separately, all fine. And when I say S1 dot here, this is what I was showing you. S1 is the object of the student class. When I say S1 dot, you can say display info, calc grade, calc average. These are the three methods which we have added here. Okay, so it is showing us all the three methods. Okay, and these three methods we have added here. Okay, calc average. Okay, okay, grade and calc grade. Okay. Now what I'm saying is I want to indicate that school is base class. I want to indicate that school is base class and this is the child class or derived class. Okay, so I go back here. Okay, I go back here and I in the bracket, I put a simple bracket and here I'll say school. Here I'll say school. Right? Now I come here. I just added this bracket and I put school. Okay, so this bracket is used to indicate that school is a parent class. School is a parent class or the base class. Okay, and where you are adding is a derived class. and we are not doing anything else. We are not doing we are not going to add anything on the parent class or anything. Okay, now simply I come here and I say S1 dot. Okay, you see, display info is fine, calc grade is fine, calc average is fine, but you see, display school info is also coming. Display school info is also coming. That means when you create, okay, when you link to classes, when you link two classes, the child class will get automatic access to the parent class properties. Okay, so this is inheritance. Okay, in inheritance, okay, when you create a base class and derived class, or a parent class and a child class, the derived class or the child class gets access to all the properties, that is your variables and functions of parent. Okay. Okay, so you get all the properties. Now, what happens if you already have a function? Child already has, derived already has a same function with the name. In that case, if you have it, then you don't get parents class methods. You will only get access to those methods which are not there in the child, but the parent has it. Okay, so this is what inheritance is. Inheritance. Okay, the derived class, okay, or the child class, right, gets access to all the members of parent class or your base class. Okay, gets access to all the members of base class. Okay, members means both your variables and functions. Okay, except those which are already present in the derived or your child class. So if child class also has a same function name or same variable name, then you don't get access to a parent. You have to use your own. But if it is not there, that's when you get access to the parents class. Okay. So now I'll take an example and we'll talk about it. Okay. So I'm thinking, so what example to take? Maybe I'll take we'll take one school and student example itself. So we'll take school, which is parent class. Okay, and we'll create two child classes, one for student, one for teacher, right? Okay, so I'm going to move this to the notes section here. Okay, and then I'm going to create a parent class first. Okay, so class, say school. Okay, and I create def underscore underscore init underscore underscore. Mostly you'll have this this the init function, right? And what I'll do is, for now, let's just build a structure. I'm not building it. Slowly we'll build our logic. Okay, slowly we will build different properties to see how we can leverage the power of class and objects. We need to leverage the power of class and objects. Okay, so simply I'm saying init, and I will print this is init in school. Okay, and let's say we define display. Okay, and I say printing from printing from display. This is done. So class, school, and we added that. Next, we'll have one more class. Okay, class student, and we have def. Okay, and I'll say this is init in student. I'm going to create one more class. Okay, and I'm going to say here teacher. Okay, so this is init in teacher class display. Okay, so display teacher, display student, display school. Okay, so I created 3 classes, which is all fine. Okay, now I can start creating an object here. So I'm saying school equal to school. Then student, then teacher, okay, school, student, and teacher. Okay, now when you run this, so init is called because we created an object, so init is called from school, student, teacher. Now I'm going to link them. Okay, so I am linking school to student. I'm linking school. So I'm saying student is object of, sorry, student is derived class of school. Now I'll put school here also. Means teacher is also linked to school. See here in PyCharm, you see this up arrow key. Up arrow key means it's going upward. Generally, the base class will write upward, right? Doesn't mean it can be anything, but what it's showing is that your derived class is down. It's looking upward to the parent, going up. Going down means it's the base class. Okay. So just now what I did is, or what we did here is, okay, again, I have to stop sharing and start sharing. So please just bear with me for today. I'm going to share the paint. Yes, you should be able to see the paint now, right? So I have, so I created one class called school. I created 2 classes, one for student. Okay, this is your teacher T1. Okay, I'm linking student to teacher, and I'm linking teacher to school. I'm linking student to the school. I'm linking teacher to the school. So school is the parent or the base class of both these classes. Okay, is both these classes. What are these classes? These are our, this one. Now, all the properties here will become applicable to this. So we have something called as multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance. Okay. I mean, just a different form of inheritance. This is your simple inheritance. We call it as simple inheritance. One parent, one child, simple inheritance. Two child, one parent, multiple inheritance. You can have one parent and two child. Yes. We can have grandfather kind of relationship. One parent, so this is child of this, but parent for, okay, this third class. So where you have more than two, more than, parent and child in multi, where you have third parent, right, kind of thing, we call it as multi-level. So you can create your own versions. Okay, it doesn't mean that parent should have only one child, child should have only one parent, doesn't mean that way. Okay, child can have multiple parents if they're getting benefited from multiple parents, as simple as that. Okay, so this is how we create these linkages. Now, what I said, everything which is there in the parent is applicable or available for these child cases or derived cases. So in this case, we only have display. Now both student and teacher have display. So if I say st dot, you won't see anything else. Just display is there. This display is coming from the object, the same class. Now what I'll do here, I'll just make this as display more or display info or something like this. Different, just name different. Now when I say st1 dot, it displays everything which is possible. Now display info, display self. These are the two functions that we have. We don't have the third one. Okay. So this second one is coming from a parent. Okay. So this is what I wanted to practice today. Okay. Please practice today. Today we discussed inheritance. Inheritance, we're talking about parent-child relationship. Okay, we saw that we can have multiple parent, multiple child. Okay, and when the derived class doesn't have its own method, then the parent method is called automatically. Okay, so I'm going to share this in the same code. Today I'll just leave you early, being Saturday. Please practice. Okay, Monday we'll take some example of inheritance. We'll take one example and perform inheritance example. Then three more functions, the properties that we talk about: encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. Inheritance we have done, polymorphism, right? So we'll see tomorrow how it works. Okay, fine. So we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye for today.